the Pitt offense, they throw the ball more than anyone in the ACC. I imagine this is a game where you're going to see how well your depth adapts to what's going to be going on out there.
Sure. Probably coming into the season, it is not what you expected from a Pitt offense. You think of a run-oriented, big physical offensive line, control the clock, and then you get to game 8 of the season and you see their body of work. And they've got one of the leading receivers in the country, one of the leading passers in the country, and they are pass-heavy. They do a great job of varying tempos. They'll go fast early in the game, spread you out, throw the football, try to get you on your heels a little bit, try to get the accumulation of plays up. But you've also seen them late in games be able to close out games by establishing the run, getting back into heavier sets and running the football. But back to your original point of the quarterback's good. He's a really good player. He's comfortable in the pocket. He has poise. He keeps his eyes downfield, and then he has targets. Multiple players with skill players, 2 very good, solid receivers. They use running backs in the pass game and the screen game, and then capable tight ends. So, one of our things that maybe has been less of a weakness is our pass defense. So we've been able to be competitive out there, feel good about our bodies and our competitiveness out on the perimeter. So it'll be tested this week. Like anything, it's got to be coordinated as a defense fully. We need to continue to find ways to get after the passer and be disruptive, to not allow him to be comfortable. You have to be very disciplined with your rush lanes as well as they throw the football. Again, I can't compliment the quarterback enough about just his poise in the pocket, his escapability, and then again, he's a veteran, mature quarterback in the way that he keeps his eyes downfield and extends plays. So, big test this week.
I was going back.
Ooh, the wives question. Ask the wives question.
Okay, yeah. No.
Give me some brownie points too.
No, okay, no, go ahead. How's your week been?
Awesome. Yes, so we had Jackson Knight Thacker, so new baby boy. Everyone's healthy. Mama absolutely killed it. Everyone's back home, so seriously appreciate it. Big weekend. While all the other coaches were out recruiting and working their tail off on the road, I was in the hospital over the weekend. So big weekend from a family, and what a blessing.
Awesome. So I was actually going back and watching some film, and something that kept sticking out to me was watching Tariq Carpenter play and kind of the hustle plays that he consistently makes throughout this season. There were a few that stuck out to me, third down stops early in the season. The one where there was an explosive play against Duke and he stopped the guy on the goal line, or right before the goal line, and then of course Miami, the play that he made in overtime. What example does he set for what it is that you want your defenders to play like?
Sure. So said this all the way back from when we first got here. Scheme is scheme, and then philosophy is philosophy. So we're an effort-based defense. So anytime that you can get individual examples of guys giving elite effort, and then when it happens to be one of your most talented players, pretty good deal. Anytime that we have those moments where we can really individualized moments of guys giving unbelievable effort on individual plays, then we show those things, and we incentivize that, and we congratulate those kids, and we pat them on the back when they do those things. And then again, when you've got someone that has the respect of the locker room and as talented as he is, then that's a great example for your defense, and point those things out. Like any of them, he's got some loafs and some effort issues as well, and we point those out and keep them accountable in those moments. But again, when some of your best players are bought in to run to the football as a defense beyond scheme, that's critical for us. And then again, to your point, that's multiple plays where he's made critical stops on effort down, big third down plays. The last play of the game, he fights his tail off. He fights his tail off. The kid makes a backward move, puts his elbow down, and the really neat piece about that, Tariq is at the point of attack. He is covering the guy that gets the catch. But if you continue to watch the rest of the play, we don't know if the elbow's down or not. The young man still continued to try to fight for yards, and you see 4 and 5 and 6 white jerseys running to the football. And that was one of the biggest pieces that you saw this past week. There were so many examples for us as a defense where we had a collective group of guys to the football. It's cool when individual players make great plays in space, and we certainly, incentivize that, congratulate them on that, but we had guys running to the football, which is that's what we're looking for as a defense.
In terms of what you've been able to do defensively this year, obviously you inherited a very inexperienced group up front. front and somewhat undersized for probably what you guys eventually want to do here defensively. Has it been an adjustment just trying to figure out how to best utilize those pieces that you have and getting the most out of them? And have you seen growth from that defensive line unit as the season's gone on and maybe more production?
Yes, yeah. Again, we get measured a lot by statistics. Our sack count, our TFL count is not overwhelming. We have to improve that chaos factor of creating negative plays to getting them behind the chains. Have they made development? Unbelievable development. As a defensive line, if you watch it from just a point of contact, using their hands, establishing the line of scrimmage, that is the best that we've played. Out of the body of work for our entire season, there have not been a ton of moments where we could just say, hey, we had the advantage up front and outplayed them over the course of the game. More so than any other game, the Georgia Tech defensive line versus the Miami offensive line, that group controlled the front. And I don't want to go as far as say dominated the game, but they played their best football, controlled the front, created negative plays. We got to our sack count. We hit the 3. Some of them were on third downs, but just the development to someone like Jaquan Griffin, who was at one point he was the 5th or 6th interior defensive tackle. He ended up being our chaos creator this past week with a touchdown, with a sack in that situation. Just somebody like that in week 1 he was the 6th defensive tackle and played sparingly. For him to play the role that he did, that's growth and that's development. So yes, to your point, and get them in negative situations and we can be creative. Again, it was a third down situation. The complementary football was excellent versus Miami. The special teams was able to pin them down inside the 20, and then on the first drive we get them in a negative situation, and we're able to be creative. Demetrius Knight, a true freshman linebacker, comes on the field and is in a pass rush situation and comes free and gets a strip sack, and we score on defense to be able to start fast and strike first. So get them in negative situations because establishing the front, and then we can be creative and be more aggressive in those situations. You didn't ask this question, but just those moments when the special teams were complimentary, pinning them back in, obviously scoring the touchdown, and then probably the best we've played, just complimentary football from special teams to offense controlling the clock. There was one moment in the third quarter where I think the offense was on the field for 10 minutes, and we gave up less yards. Great, yeah. We played good defense when they were on the field. So Dave and the crew just did an unbelievable job of complimentary football and controlling the clock, and that allowed us to be the defense that was the most motivated going into overtime, the freshest, had the most live bodies, and I think you saw that in the 5th period. We had more energy from sideline to the game field. Our offense willed themselves in to win, to go score immediately, and then our defense fought their tails off to get the win.
A couple more for Coach Thacker. Rod, or Ken, go ahead. Not a lot, Rod.
You may be a little light at linebacker, but I'm curious kind of what does that mean for that group? And I imagine for a guy like Demetrius, it probably means more.
Heck yeah. Yeah. Yeah, true freshman. Again, those moments, we've tried to put him in advantageous moments. Here's what I mean by that. Use his skill set. He is an elite athlete at the linebacker position. He's a true freshman middle linebacker that lacks experience. So now you're getting into the third quarter of the season. He has experience. He's made big-time plays. He just played Miami. The first drive, he gets to run off the edge, gets a strip sack, and changes the game. He's had those moments. He's had those experiences. So now we can see him more on normal downs. And you're just to the point of the season, you watch college football, and you watch NFL, people are beat up. Teams are beat up. So to be a developmental program, this is where it starts to pay off later in the season. A young man by the name of Taylor McCauley is a walk-on true freshman. He has been on the developmental squad for 8 weeks, and he has been playing the calls that we call on defense. He has been playing them on the developmental squad as opposed to just looking at a card and lining up and doing whatever the card says. So now when we get light at depth or we need him to contribute, now he's over on our side with the above-the-line squad this week and playing his tail off and functioning at a high rate for a true freshman walk-on linebacker. So with the point we're at in the season, where everybody's at in the season, you need depth and you need to continue to develop those guys. So they've sat in meetings, they've been involved, they're playing our defense on the developmental squad, and this is where it pays off. Did I answer your question, or did I just go off on a tangent? What was the original question?
I was curious about your wife, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rod, last one.
naturally, turnovers has been a point of emphasis for you, and you look at their quarterback. Yes, he's thrown 8 touchdowns, but he's also thrown, I think, 6 interceptions. So as many times as the ball's going to be in the air, I imagine this is a week where you really want to try to get those turnovers.
Yeah. So my wife, she's got an accounting degree from Florida. She has a master's in accounting, and then she had her CPA. So she was working for Ernst & Young, one of the big 5, and I ruined her career. As always, we moved 7 times in the first 8 years of marriage, and she is a trooper. Yeah. The question?
Turnovers.
Yeah, I'm kidding. Yeah, so you talked about interceptions in the quarterback right there. We talk about it ad nauseum. We incentivize it. Today, the deal was if you created a takeaway, whether you stripped it out, whether you're on the developmental squad, whether you're on the ATL squad, if you got an interception, today you got it, you sprinted straight to Coach Lou. Coach Lou is our head strength coach. He is beloved by everyone on our team. You sprinted straight over to him. He had to immediately get down and do 10 push-ups. So, again, we try to create ways to be creative, to have fun with it, to incentivize it, to talk about it. I have the whistle when we're going versus the developmental squad, and we're simulating Pittsburgh's offense. And every single play that they run it, we have to thud him up, and then the other collection of defensive players come in and strip it out. So if someone hasn't thudded up, the next dude comes in and he strips it out. I do not blow the whistle until someone has violently stripped for the football. So we've got to create it. And then back to your point, Miami won because they were able to get takeaways early in the game. You know what I mean? We gave ourselves a chance because we started fast and created a takeaway early in the game. We have to get more. Again, we got 1. 1 was a big one, but it's not enough. So 3 is our minimum. 3 is our goal. Everybody in the country talks about it. It will always be one of the biggest metrics in any level of football is the turnover margin, and we have to create more takeaways. And again, I always say this. We try to teach it. You know, again, it's talk about it, drill it, but we try to teach it off of film. Pull clips from the NFL. Every time that we create a takeaway in practice, we watch it on the film, and what is the technique? What is the scenario where that happens so we can teach them in those moments. So it's not just, oh, I'm in one-on-one coverage and I get the interception, or we beat them by scheme. It's willing those things to happen by having techniques to be able to get the ball out.